Hello guys, this is the Gaming Revolution here, and today I wanted to delve a little more in depth into the little snippet of gameplay footage that we got at the end of the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 multiplayer reveal trailer. Yesterday I actually made a video about the gunsmith and the paint shop feature, with some leaked images. And when we actually got this announced that there will be a gunsmith and paint shop feature, I did also make an in-depth video as well. But now that we've actually gotten footage, I can sort of explain how it works a little more in depth. So first of all, I just want to explain what the gunsmith feature actually is before I actually go in depth and actually explain the gameplay you're seeing in the background. So Black Ops 3's multiplayer will feature a new gunsmith feature which will allow players to customize, view and build out their weapons with incredibly precise knowledge. As well as this, you'll be able to select up to 5 attachments and 1 optic, and you will also be able to add a completely customizable camo for weapons with the new paint shop feature. However, if you do choose to select 5 attachments, you'll only be left with 2 slots in your pick 10 system. So yes, you can go out balling and get loads of attachments, but what it'll mean is you can probably only have a weapon and then one other thing in your pick 10 system, probably a kill streak or a grenade or a perk. So most likely people will only use about 2 or 3 attachments, even though you can now use 5. So basically the gunsmith feature will be a completely separate thing to the pick 10 system, but will still use up slots from your pick 10. Like I was stating earlier, if you have 5 attachments, you'll only be able to select 2 other things in your pick 10 system, which isn't very much. But it will be a completely separate thing in terms of menu-wise to the pick 10 system. Now, as well as the within the gunsmith feature within Black Ops 3's multiplayer, there'll be a new thing called the paint shop or a paint job feature. What this will be is most weapons will allow the player to make custom camos for their weapons, but this will only be available on the top and the sides of the weapon. So the gameplay which you're seeing in the background, as you can see, the custom camo you create will only show up on the side, the middle bit of the side of the weapon, as well as on the top. You can also add a camo, so say you earn a camo, a gold camo for example, you can still put a camo on top of this, and what it'll do is it'll merge your custom camo and it'll merge the actual camo together to create a really nice looking camo, so you can create some really good variations there. So as well as this, players will be able to use up to 64 layers when actually creating custom camos, similar to the emblem editor seen in Black Ops 2 and Advanced Warfare. Basically, it'll work in the exact same way, and the gameplay which you're seeing in the background works in the exact same way as the emblem editor, but instead it allows you to customize a camo on the side and top of your weapon. The players will also be able to inspect their weapons with a camo and attachments on in full 3D, and they will also now be able to rename their weapons from the actual gun name to a custom, completely desired one. Weapon painting is not available on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions of the game, unfortunately, due to hardware limitations, so it's only going to be available on the Xbox One, PS4 and PC, unfortunately. I think that's pretty sick. I really do like the idea that you're going to be able to create your own variants now, and you're actually going to be able to rename your weapon to the weapon of your choice. So I can imagine there's going to be some pretty strange names, weapon names going around, because it's interesting. If you can create your own weapon name, are they going to put like limits on what names you can create? Because people could put some really rude names on, and then you could just go see a gun on the floor, go to pick it up, and you won't have you'll have no idea what the gun is. So that's just interesting. So let's actually talk about the gameplay now that I've actually described the gunsmith and the paint shop feature in depth. So the gunsmith Gunsmith feature, as I said, is a completely separate thing to the Pick 10 system, and the PAINTSHOP feature is a feature within the Gunsmith. So on screen now, you can actually see some gameplay of someone applying attachments to the weapon called the Man of War in the background. Now, as you can see, it's very, very simple to use. You can apply one optic and up to 5 attachments. As I said, you'll only be able to use 2 other things in your Pick 10 system. And then to the right hand side, you've got a slot which says PAINTSHOP and a slot which says Camo. You can do both of these things, so you can apply a camo and you can also go into the PAINTSHOP feature and apply your own customized camo to essentially merge 2 camos together, similar to how in Advanced Warfare some elite weapons have their own camos. However, if you unlock a camo, you can still apply it on that elite weapon and it will sort of merge the camos together to create a better camo. So now let's actually jump into the gameplay of the PAINTSHOP feature. So when you actually select a layer, you'll be able to then edit it. So as I said, you can edit it up to 64 layers. Now in the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to see your 64 layers, like it's pretty much exactly the same as the Black Ops 2 and Advanced Warfare emblem editor. It's pretty much identical. So on the bottom you can see 64 layers. You can move across with your D-pad to actually select a layer you want. When you actually select a layer you want, in the top left hand corner of the screen, and you'll see this in the gameplay, you will then have different controls. If you press select, you'll be able to copy a layer, and then you will be able to then go onto another layer and then paste it in. If you press square, you'll be able to delete that layer. If you press triangle, you'll be able to change the decal. If you press down on the D-pad, you'll be able to insert a new decal. If you press R2, you'll be able to link or unlink a layer, which essentially merges them together. If you press L1, you'll be able to group or ungroup a layer, which you can basically group a load of layers together so they sort of act as one. They merge together. Basically, it's hard to explain, but it's similar to how on photo editing softwares, unlike computers, you're able to merge things together and group them. And then if you press R1, you'll be able to save a decal group, so you can save a certain select amount of layers without actually saving the full camo. Now right here I'm going to be showing you a bit of different gameplay. Now when you actually select a layer, it will then zoom in on the weapon so you can actually edit that specific layer. If you look in the top left hand corner, you can again see the controls panel. Now this controls panel is pretty much identical again, as I said, to the emblem editor from Black Ops 2 and Advanced Warfare. So once you've actually selected a layer, you'll be able to move your L thumbstick to actually move your emblem around on your custom camo. With the right thumbstick, you'll be able to freescale, so you'll be able to actually enlarge or shrink your selected layer. You'll also be able to rotate your layer with L2 and R2. You'll be able to change the opacity of your actual selected layer, so the colour of it will slightly change with L1 and R1. You'll be able to flip your layer by pressing select. You'll also be able to toggle outline / full. Sorry, that's by pressing select. The previous one's by pressing the sort of massive D-pad on the PS4 controller. And you'll also be able to change the layer order just by pressing the left or right on the D-pad on the PS4 controller, which will change the layer order. The layers that are first will be the ones that are the furthest behind. They're the back layer. So the lower the number, the further back the layer. So the highest number will be the one that shows on top of the camo, on top of all of the layers, similar to the emblem editor. Now finally, the last bit of information which I just want to talk about is, if you look in the top right hand corner instead of the top left hand corner, you'll see something that says right. Now this is interesting because we didn't see this within the emblem editor, or we may have done, but I can't remember, to be honest. And you can actually see something which says layers used, so you can actually see how many layers you've used before you start to go over the limit and you can use no more. It also tells you how many linked layers you have, so you've got to make sure that you've got all the layers linked, because otherwise if you've just got only a few layers linked, it'll mean you'll get an incomplete camo. You'll also be able to now see your X and Y axis for your position and scale in the right hand corner, which will allow you to actually position your layers in really specific points on your weapon. You'll also be able to see how much you rotated your selected layer in the top right hand corner, and you'll also be able to see your opacity, which is set at 100% in the gameplay you're watching, in the top right hand corner. So anyways, that's going to conclude today's video. Hopefully it has been informative. To be honest, I've seen a lot of people who have been covering this gameplay, and they've only done like a 2-minute video, but I wanted to go really in depth on how this actual paint shop feature and how the gunsmith feature works within Black Ops 3's multiplayer. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to try and answer them. So anyways, it pretty much works exactly the same as the emblem editor, so I think that's pretty cool indeed. It's pretty easy to use. You shouldn't have any troubles with it when the game actually releases, or you can actually use it when the beta does come out in August. So anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here for the latest and greatest Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 news and content. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.